Roots is a community. Anybody can participate in that. Whose objective or intention is to explore the ancient wisdom and bring it into modern life, modern management, leadership areas. So a lot of people are typically from the IT companies because that's where the core team of these Roots and Shoots came from. That's the kind of a connection. And we have very different kinds of sessions in this because it's a kind of an exploration, and so it's nothing to do with religion or any people following any methods are still welcome. So it's an open platform basically. I request Krishna to introduce about Ashwasan and talk a few lines about that.
It's a privilege to share stories of hope, experiences of hope. So thank you Roots and Truths for organizing this. Thank you everybody for coming here and making this entire thing possible.
As far as health is concerned, Ashwasan Services over the last 8 years has worked with over 5,000 individuals with 29 areas of unprecedented breakthroughs. These are areas like degenerative diseases, developmental disorders, cancer, addiction, you name it. So without much ado, just to let you know that Ashwasan is here. It is a global revolution called Love, and it has been founded and brought forward by a founder, Ms. Rashmi Naik. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. It's lovely to be here, and thank you for sharing, everyone. Where do I begin? I think reality is logic for me, and if I have to talk about my journey, it starts with my birth. Well, when you're born as a child, for you everybody is the same. And in that sense, almost like was 5 or 6, I thought everybody was like me. I didn't have any idea that I was different in any way, or I saw the world differently, or I experienced the world in any way different. So almost about 6 and a half in school, little interactions brought out made me feel that there is something different here. To me, if you really ask me right in the beginning, it was a very graceful life. I never struggled in any way. The two, if I have to look back and share with you, I think the phenomena that went parallel with me right from birth. One was that I did not understand present tense. Okay, there was no concept in me with respect to my life as to what is present tense, first of all. Time was not linear for me at all. The other phenomena for me that went along was that every person's physical features, whether that was the face or the body, would just come as a glimpse. And what I would see was just the body behind that, which is how does your body functions, how do they actually live together as a mechanism? How does your mind contribute into your body as a function? And then the infinite light, which is your soul. Let me ask you all a question here. I'm sure you've all been in love once or twice, right? Or maybe many times. And then most of the time when you feel profoundly, you say, I love you from the bottom of my heart, right? You don't say, I love you from the bottom of my kidneys, my lungs, my stomach, right? Why? Have you ever thought whether it's a Britisher saying that or an Indian saying that? You're speaking in Hindi or in English. They'll say, Dil se pyar karta, right? Again, it's the heart. Why? Because there's an intuitiveness in every life. And that intuitiveness points out to that side of you. Whether you relate to that as an organ, I don't think so. You're not probably referring to the heart as an organ, right? When you're saying love. Because behind that, there is an infinite intelligence that you all bear. There is nobody in this world who's here to sit and teach you, because you're all born with that knowledge. I always say that I'm probably the residue from the past, because we all probably were exactly this way. And evolution probably created many lives to manifest in the way they have turned out to be. And I'm sure there are many people like me who still experience their life physically, one with the surrounding around, whether that is understanding what your plants and animals are speaking, or whether that is the cause and effect theory of how a tumor is developed, whatever it may be. So the knowledge per se is not such a hoo-ha. I think we're all running behind knowledge for some reason. It is the being, it is the state of being, it is life itself, it is that moment. So for many years, I think this whole, experience of looking at how a child in front of me would have asthma, and clearly I would see it would take me to multiple different episodes in his life backward and show me how a child was traumatized at, let's say, age 7. And that trauma probably used to bring a reaction in his lungs, which was to sort of block in the oxygen content. And every time there was similar trauma, automatically the lungs would respond like that. Almost as if it's an imprint and it's just like a mindless reaction. And over a period of time, that endorsement turned into a malfunction. And so if you took an X-ray of that child's lungs, you wouldn't see any issue, but you'll still see the child having asthmatic attacks. So what would happen is the functionality of the lungs was not altered on a very peripheral level, but within the, let's say, the subatomic level, when you talk about what controls this intelligence in the force within, there is something which is subtle. It's a subtle energy, okay? And that subtle energy exists in your subatomic level, and that's a communication. So that trauma got repeated many a times, and that's how a child started developing an asthmatic response. So when you talk about pumping in medicines, you're just looking at a symptomatic response to that situation, but you're not addressing the root cause. If you go back and rewind that child's episode in trauma and release the lungs' functionality to absorb 100% oxygen versus absorbing just 30%, quite likely the child will never have an asthmatic attack. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the cause and effect with respect to the body's mechanism, and it's unique to each. Because your gene metabolism, or the way your body manifests your infinite energy, which is your soul, is translated completely different. Okay? And because of that difference, the way a genetic degeneration happens in one body will be different from how it happens in another body. And that is the principle that we follow, and even when we diagnose, let's say, similar conditions in people. And for us, each individual is unique, and there'll never be another you in this world. And that itself says a lot about all of us here. Before Ashwasan started, I had 15 years of a career in the IT industry. I was heading a telecom company as the country head, and I remember when Ashwasan started, the chairperson visited me in India and said, "Oh, that's the reason why we ever defied you or went against you, things went wrong. So why did you ever tell us that you were different?" And I said, because you can't really speak things before time. I think I went along with life because life had to tone me up to face the world. And I think there was an inner guide that kept telling me, you're here to be one among everybody. You're just one like everybody else. But maybe my journey and my responsibilities were slightly different from many other I saw, And so, of course, there were moments where I profoundly felt heavy-hearted, and I used to complain to my dad and mom and say, enough, I think, let me just go to the next level. And they would say, no, hang on. You have to wait, there's a reason for everything. And I was about 30 when that time came. I think I had reached the epitome of tolerance. Not because I was frustrated, but I was desperate to stand and shout loud as to, I am by nature a very loving human being, and I'm happy to say that. And to me, I felt, why should you hide who you are? You know, and the reason behind not sharing this before Ashwasan was that I think there was this general understanding that anything you didn't understand would be either put into some sort of a paranormal phenomena, or you'll be made into God. And I hated all of those reactions. I think for me, I wanted to be one like everybody, and I think I'm still the most vulnerable human being you can meet. I can cry at a drop of a hat, I can laugh at a drop of a hat. And I think the futility of life has touched me in ways which has retained my humanity inside. When you look at somebody from birth and beyond and you realize what life is anyway, and how little that time will be for you to be you, you realize what's the whole point? You know? Why would you propagate confusion versus clarity? Why would you not hold strength versus weakness? Why wouldn't you love instead of hate? It becomes clear. So I think it was a great journey, and in 2005, I reached epitome of tolerance. I was like, this is a fake world and I can't stand this anymore. I mean, if I can't walk the road, being completely myself instead of just extending my love and compassion and kindness and humanity to every person without freedom, then I think my life isn't worth it after all. And so I could feel that time was changing. I think it was a book that was getting completed. The last chapter was getting written. And one such morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, I felt I was woken up. And I looked around, obviously nobody was there. And my room turned into a ball of light. Nothing, I couldn't see my wall, my windows, my bed, nothing. And instantly I just touched my bed to think, I hope I'm alive and I'm still here, you know, and I couldn't feel the bed, you know. And as soon as that happened, I felt I was spoken to. I did not see a face, I did not hear any language, or Hindi, English, any language particularly, but I just felt very clearly spoken to, saying, Rashmi, ready to go.
Yeah.